Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are back. Back. It's been a while, y'all. I know. But I'm back. And we're here to talk basketball. We're here to talk some sports because the NBA has been crazy so far this season. And I'm excited. And I hope everyone else is excited about what's been going on. First thing we're going to get into, we're going to talk about my light skinned wonder, my brother from another. You know, it's like saying brothers got to stick together. You know, I'm going to talk about some Steph Curry. Steph Curry has been phenomenal this season. I know it's only been um, a few games and a such because he got injured earlier. He missed like 3 games. Um, but he's been back in less minutes. He's been more productive than he's ever been. This Warriors team is back to the strength in numbers mantra. This isn't just another set of teams dominant team like the Warriors when they had KD. This is back to when they had Barbosa. They had players like Sean Livingston and things like that. What you're thinking about, they just make the team whole, as in everybody's a who they are, and together they become a dominant team. And it's always gonna be led by a man named Steph Curry. I think one of the biggest things, other than just Steph Curry being the engine of this, I got to think the mentality of the team itself. What, and I hate to say it because it's my other light skinned brother, but it's an addition by subtraction with the loss of Klay Thompson, the most beloved warrior other than Steph Curry was Klay Thompson. I mean, in the last few years, though, if you're the same person like me, he went from beloved to like, yo, bro, just relax. Come on, we paid you. What more do you want from us? We paid you before you was hurt, and now we just ask you to reciprocate. We're not gonna give you that money because you're not the same person. You gotta understand you're not the same person. We're not. We can't just give you legacy pay because we're still trying to build something and win and you're not helping any of this. So it's just an addition by subtraction with that piece, bringing in a guy like Buddy Hill who fills his role. What Clay Thompson, and this ain't the prime Clay Thompson that we seen where he was defense and offense. The Clay Thompson that we asked for in the last 2 seasons was just somebody who could score the ball and fall into the line of the team and what we need from him. Um, Buddy had just stepped in because guess what? He doesn't have to play at a high defensive level like Clay did in his past. We just need you to be who we needed him to be at that moment to come off the bench, score those baskets, and do what needs to be done. He couldn't do that. We replaced him with somebody who was fine with doing that, and now the mentality shifts and it changes from even on the bench because now you got a person who's your vet moping around to now a new guy who just, all right, I'm fine with that. And now it goes into the other guys because, like, let's think about it. Kaminga, we can't hear nothing about Kaminga so far. I understand it's a contract year, so he probably not trying to throw character around and have that be a part of that. But it's also like he's coming off the bench, like, yo, this is what I'm gonna do, and this is how I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna give you the best. Like contract year players give you their best, but this is the best without that attitude that we seen from last year. And it's like sometimes some players, people are so young that they see what's going on and they like, yo, I'm gonna react the same way this guy's reacting because I see him doing it. You let him do it, why can't I do it? So now Buddy comes in and he's like, yo, I'm fine. I gotta do what I gotta do. This is my role, this is what it is. And now you gotta see Kaminga just look at it like, yo, that's his role. He's fine with that. Let me be fine with it and give you my best. And I could get my spot. I can make it happen, you know? So it's just like I think it's a shift of mentality just by simple subtraction of Klay Thompson. No matter how much we love him, And I love Clay because of being a Warriors fan. But at the end of the day, I'm a team dynamic type of player. Like I love and I like the way that Steph. Everybody they talk about. They had a segment about Steph being able to be coach and be this, that, and the third. But at the end of the day, Steph goes out there with the mentality of being the best player on the court, but he's humble enough where he plays and he moves with the team's concept like he's just another cog in the system, even though he's the best player, and I respect that because when I play the game of 2K, I be feeling like I'm the best player on the team at what I do. And other people might say it and feel that way, but I'll never sit there. I just want to see good basketball being played and us giving our best. And that's what Steph does. He goes out there, he plays his best role, and he just hopes everybody else levels up and they just do what they got to do. And that's all we need. I'm gonna be go ahead and give you my best, you give it your best. And if you're not even seeming like you're giving it your best, then what are we gonna do with you? We're not gonna give you your contract. Is that what happened with Clay? And now it could possibly be what happens with Kaminga. And Kaminga knows this. He sees that. He's seen Clay walk. He probably feels I could walk too. But guess what? If you're gonna walk, you're not gonna be in an organization. We've seen how it is. These organizations aren't the same. And that's not tooting the horn of the Warriors. That's just like organizations aren't the same everywhere you go. They're not gonna have your best interest. And like, and we got to keep it real when it comes to organizations. I was gonna say they're not gonna have your best interests involved in making you the best player you could be, because it's a two sided thing. Like player, you got to be the best version of you while developing, and this organization has to be the best version of them to keep it in a way where it's like, yo, you're viable, you're needed because we building something that needs your skill sets around there. But it's just like if your attitude and everything is more than what your skill sets is giving us and your problems, why are we keeping you? You feel me? So it's just like it's a balancing act for both because the organization has to do what it has to do to win, and some players might be sacrificed. It's just how it goes. We got to think about it, and I think about it even this season with the Mavericks. How many times has Spencer Dinwiddie been with the Mavericks? This is like his third tour there. But the team had to do what they had to do to go ahead and get the likes of um the likes of people like Kyrie Irving and stuff like that. Is it anything against Spencer that they have from this organization? No, they like Spencer. Obviously, he's back on the team. But we got to do what we got to do to make our team better. And that's how it goes too. Like for the player as well, a player has to do what he has to do to keep himself viable. Because it's like we got to think about it. Spencer Dinwiddie or Kyrie Irving, who are we going with? We're going with Kyrie any day. I'm gonna pick Kyrie, so I'm gonna make this trade and make it happen. So if you don't like, just say Kaminga in yourself. If you don't elevate yourself enough, or keep yourself humble enough, where they can see the potential and they be like, you know what, we'll pay you this because you're worth it. Or they could be like, all right, we'll match it and then find a trade suitor for you in the next season. Because we know you still got some value, but it's just like you might not be exactly what we want. But we want you to be the best you can be so it could be for us and we could win a championship. Everybody just wants to win at the end of the day. But yeah, I was talking about the basketball season, but I got into a real rant about Steph Curry, the Warriors, and how I see certain things and how I just love how this team is coming together. They got Jerry Stackhouse, who got these guys blitzing. They got such an athletic team where he's using them to their maximum potential, which you love to see because this defense is aggressive. They're blitzing. If you're a bad ball handler, your decision making. If you're Klay Thompson, we're blitzing you. You're not a strong ball handler, we're blitzing you. It's not going to be easy. And even if you're a strong ball handler, if you turn your back for a second, we might just be blitzing you. I love that about this team. And it's just the fact that they got the characters and the ability around it. And let's move on. Let's move on. Let's move on. And I'm going to the next team that I feel is the closest thing who could have that same exact defense. Because I was just thinking about that watching the game that they played. Who they played? The Clippers is the Houston Rockets. We already seen or heard Draymond Green say the young boy that he sees himself into is the Tory Eason. I see it, Tory Eason. Yes, um, he could get blocks, he could get steals, he could do a lot of things. He's strong, he's athletic. Like Tory Eason is the Draymond Green. If Draymond could jump out the gym, um, and that team just has it because you have Tory Eason, Jabari Parker. You got my man, Amen Thompson. Now that's somebody that I see more of a Draymond Green mold, but just athletic for real because he's already came into the league and you was touted about his passing ability, his athleticism, his basketball IQ. And it's just like, yo, you could put those all together and put him in positions like a Draymond Green out there. Oh, it'll be a problem. It'll be a problem. But I think this team, since they still have that identity situation where you're going to go with either Sengun or Jalen Green, which Jalen signed his contract and what's his face signed his contract, so you can see in the next 2 years how this thing moves. Um, but it's tough because it's just like they don't have a Steph Curry out there, so their offense flow is different. Their offense has to flow in a way where it's around Sengun like a Denver Nuggets, but they have the defensive capability of the Warriors. But the only problem is they can't mold them together because you have Sengun and you have Draymond on both ends. You see what I'm saying? You have a person where you got to use a guy who's Amen Thompson. I feel like he's more of a Draymond who could be passing and everything, like um like Aaron Gordon. Which what that does is take away one of his offensive capabilities, which is probably getting him into the short roll or even having the ball in his hand at times. It's using him for his abilities where you could use a guy like what's his face more so as an Aaron Gordon to me, Tory Eason, and you could use it. What's his face? But the thing about it is they have Sangoon, so now the offense like they gotta be able to play in that mode, and they gotta realize their lineups. I think where they can mesh both of these worlds together, where it's like sometimes where you got because you know with Sangoon you gotta have athletic people around him, so you can have Tory Eason out there with a Sangoon. I think that's the one together, and then you gotta mess up some of those minutes where it's once Sangoon gets off, you have a Men Thompson out there with a Tory Eason and things like that, Jabari Parker, and it's like you're gonna be small. But if you move this team properly, they could be running around the court so fast and making things happen. It could create a different dynamic on what you're doing out there. But it's just about getting these guys in the right position, the right roles, and the right responsibilities. So I think, and that's just one of the things. I'm thinking of Houston Rockets as one of those teams that if you had the proper coach who wants to move this needle like that, if you put me on that sideline, it'd be trouble. I'm telling you. But I see this team as one of those athletics, especially when they get Cam Whitmore back. Jalen Green been showing himself out. He had what 25 points last game. Torrey Eason and Ahmed Thompson combined for 19 points. Both Torrey Eason in the last 5 games, he had double digits in like the last 5 games. Ahmed Thompson hit double digits in 3 of the last 4. Like this team, and like that's what I was nervous about the signings of Dylan Brooks and what's the Van Vliet, is I felt it was going to stunt some growth of these guys because these guys don't play neither way. Oh, and I meant Dylan Brooks in that lineup too. That defensive lineup would be crazy. But like I was saying, I felt it's going to stunt their growth in a way that these guys aren't going to get those reps, and the coaches aren't going to be able to see what they see in a real game because practice is different. We see how it is. Embiid has stepped on the court after a long awaited time, and practice sessions are different from the game. He looks terrible out there. He probably looked decent in practice, but when you get in the game speed, it's a whole different ball game. So it's just like that's what I'm saying. It's gonna be a stunning growth with them because they bring guys like that in who need their minutes. They're vets. They need their minutes. They just want to win, and it's not like they gonna sit here and move in a way that I feel like this team should be moving in the next few years. Where you got to develop this stuff now, where you got to figure out who's going to be your defensive captain, who's going to be that person who's going to be your Draymond Green for real, who's going to get that motor going, who's going to have everybody in positions and things like that. We can still figure that out now, but when you're in the fire, that is what really gets you see whose character is what. So that's gonna be it, man. I'm just here. I just came here to talk about some little. I ain't have nothing on the agenda. Came here. We talked about the Warriors and what I liked about it, how we're moving in this next year. I talked about my young boys in Houston. I like the way they moving, but I also see some of the things in the future that could be fantastic for them, and I think should be fantastic for them. But we'll see how it goes. See how Ime holds it down with that. But y'all already know the vibes, man. Like, share, sub, and all the above. Your boy is signing out.